Our next guest is an eye surgeon, Dr. Ming Wang. He was on our show several months ago telling a story of someone who had their eyesight restored. It was such a popular clip, as I mentioned in the opening of the show. Someone even from Morocco saw the clip, came to Nashville, and Dr. Wang was able to help save sight in one of the eyes. He's an amazing guy, amazing person, loves the Lord. We want to show the clip again that we showed a few months ago to tell that story of this sight restoration. So let's watch this clip.
With a Bible in hand, Brad Barnes has left a lot of what is about to happen today to a higher power.
You ready?
I'm ready.
13 years ago, Brad lost his sight in a foundry explosion. Molten aluminum burned his body and his eyes for what Brad thought would be forever.
After 15 major surgeries at several major medical centers, he was declared to be irreversibly blind.
Barnes was referred to Dr. Ming Wang's Foundation for Sight Restoration. He was the first person in the world to receive a procedure developed by Dr. Wang, a combination saliva gland transplant and laser artificial cornea implantation.
I think this is a dawn of a new era of transplantation medicine. Man-made body parts. You reduce the risk of organ transplantation rejection, which is the #1 problem in organ transplantation.
Yesterday was the final surgery in a 2-year journey. Today, Brad's bandages are removed. It's unclear because of blood and swelling how much Brad might see. Dr. Wang cleans out his eye and slowly opens the lid. Supporters wait with nervous anticipation.
I see thumb up. Yeah, thumbs up. Yes. I see it.
You can see my thumb?
Yes, and hang on, don't move.
Okay, don't move.
Is this your face?
Yes.
Yeah, I see your face over there.
The most important thing Brad can now see is his wife, Jackie.
Yeah, I can see you now. Yeah.
And for the first time in nearly 13 years, Brad sees himself in a mirror.
Yeah, that's me.
That's it.
Yeah.
With each passing minute, Brad's eyesight gets a little better.
I'm just overwhelmed. It's very surreal, and I'm just really happy.
Brad is fascinated by things we take for granted, like a crumpled piece of tissue. But it's clear this is a life-changing day.
This is incredible. This is incredible. Man, I can't even believe this.
A moment to witness a patient going from a life of darkness to sight. Personally priceless for Dr. Wang and everyone involved.
That moment is worth all the hard work and research and sleepless nights for decades.
Now, that is amazing. Dr. Wang, thanks for being here again. When we showed that clip before, talk about what happened, because I've mentioned it twice, about the person in Morocco that saw that clip.
The clip was shown at TBN show in February, and I got an email like 2 days after. A young lady who lived in Morocco had this progressive blinding condition for the past 5 years, to the point that she completely lost sight in one eye. She went to France, Australia, and several other countries, and nobody could diagnose why she was losing sight in that eye. And she began to lose sight in the only remaining eye, like 2 weeks prior to this show. Every day she was losing more and more sight. And it was a blessing that while she still had that little bit of sight left, with the limited sight she saw this show. And sent us an email, and a day or two later, she was in Nashville, Tennessee. And it's just God worked His miracles through whatever limited capacity function we have. Through that, He can still work His miracle through. And we performed a complete thorough testing and found out that she had a very rare genetic disease. And that was why no one has been able to diagnose. And we took her to operating room the next day and did a surgery and was able to restore the sight. And a week or two later, she flew home. And it was just amazing that God, that across oceans, across culture, across countries, that His influence, His words is transcending all cultures.
Absolutely. Ming, you were, this was so funny because after that show aired in February and that testimony had happened, Ming was just, he came to me and says, I have emails from 52 countries. And that is really something to constantly be reminded of on the show, is that people from all over the world, over 200 countries are watching this. It's a fantastic network, a great work of faith that this family, the Crouches, and all the team around them have done. Thank you so much, Ming, for coming back, because one of the other things that was picked up on was, as a scientist, you went to Harvard, you studied at MIT, and so here you are with a PhD and an MD, and yet you are a person of absolute faith. You see no contradiction between your faith and science. In fact, we did, at a local university, we did a tag team match. Trust me, I was the warm-up band for you. But talking about science and faith, and that there is no contradiction. That's a statement you make, that there is no contradiction, though apparently contradictory. There is no contradiction. Why don't you pick up on that and just talk about that? Because when you make those statements from your academic and scientific background, people have to stand up and take notice, or sit up and take notice.
Yeah, Pastor writes that we are living in a very challenging time. All the temptations of modern living, where there's more material wealth and more information, faster cars, and more expensive things, that is carrying our human being in the direction that, unless we watch out ourselves, is going to be in a direction that will have lesser guard and lesser spiritual existence and more physical existence, emphasis on physical. And in this case, that there was this notion with the continuous scientific development, whether it's molecular genetics, cellular biology, that more knowledge we accumulate, and there's lesser presence of God. And what I found through my own experience studying science, medicine, and trying to help people, I have found just the opposite. It's interesting that the more that I've studied medicine, in this case, eye, reconstructive surgeries, the more I found out that I don't know. The more I study, the more I find myself have to resort to God's teaching and to faith. And some of the greatest scientists in humankind's history, Albert Einstein, Newton, they believe in God. Because when you truly master a subject, whether it's mathematics or physics or chemistry or biology, when you truly understand, you actually can elevate yourself and realize there's bigger influence of God's presence. And there's more importance, not less, the question of faith. You know, and they always say that if a great physicist, if he or she's really good with the subject, you say, he or she's almost like an artist. You know, but not the other way around. Not a great artist become a physicist. Because emotion, the spiritual, it's at a higher level of mere human numbers and knowledges.